Hey, I'm Bera, and in today's video I wanted to talk about how to handle toxic people at work. I've been talking to so many people recently who really suffer from toxic work environments and, just relationships that are really crossing the line to the abusive. And this reminded me of a book that I loved to read when I was a teenager. I was a pretty strange kid. Teenager, and I really loved French existentialists. And one of my favorite theater plays at that time was Sartre's No Exit. And that basically consists of three people who are locked into a room. And that's hell. So they are locked into a room together and realize, wait a minute, we're in hell, but there's nobody doing the punishment except ourselves. The others are, their punishment. And one line in that play was, hell is other people. And I think for a lot of folks, that's how they experience their work environment. That hell is, the people who are being toxic and, not just challenging, but sort of downright abusive. So in this video, I want to share 4 things. I want to talk about mindset and what mindset changes can help you address that situation. I also want to talk about changes to your environment and relationships that can help. Then I want to give you a couple of very quick, more energy-based exercises that can help deal with the situation that you're finding yourself in. And lastly, I want to discuss next steps that you can take. So that's what we're going to do. But before we jump into that, I just, wanted to express my compassion for what you're going through. And it's rough and you shouldn't have to deal with that. Since you do, let's look at ways you can handle this. So first of all, let's look at the mindset. I think what toxic situations often do is that they change people's perceptions, and then they often start questioning themselves. It's like, wait a minute, am I maybe the problem? If somebody's continuing to tell you the grass is blue, and everybody around tells you the grass is blue, at some point you're like, yeah, maybe the grass is blue, maybe my perception is skewed. So I think one thing to realize is that it's not your fault that you're going through that. Presuming that you're doing what you can, that you're handling yourself impeccably. That it's not your fault. People have their own agenda and they do whatever they do, and you're not responsible for other people's actions. The second idea that's related to that is that it's not a sign of health to be well adjusted to an unhealthy system. So just because other people seem to handle it better doesn't necessarily mean that they're higher functioning individuals, because, it doesn't really speak, it doesn't really say a lot about having good defense mechanisms if you're in an unhealthy situation and you don't have a desire to get out. It's kind of like, having a fire alarm that's not alerting you to the presence of fire. With that being said, let's move to the next point. And that is environment. And I think there are things that you can do in your work environment that can make things better. For instance, you can put up little reminders of people who really care about you, like pictures that can help, remind you that you really are appreciated. You can also put up physical reminders of things that you did well, if you have won an award or a prize, or you have a diploma, or something else, just a situation where you did something and you felt good about yourself. You can also put that up as a reminder. Another thing that can really help is because being around toxic people really tends to screw up, people's perceptions of themselves, is to be around people who really appreciate you. So you have something to counteract that negativity and somebody to affirm you that, no, you actually have something to offer, you are intelligent, or you are competent, or whatever it is that you feel you're not because of that negative feedback. The next one is really around energetic exercises that can help. So one thing that you can do is that you can imagine yourself being in a protective bubble, and that you have that bubble as you go through the days, particularly while you interact with toxic people. And to do that, just imagine that you literally have a whole bubble around you, and you can change the color of that bubble, so it can be golden or pink. These are two good colors because of the associations we have with them. And then just observe everything from inside that bubble, knowing that nothing negative can come through it. And you can do that at the beginning of the workday. Now, at the end of the workday, I think it's really important to have good energetic hygiene, is how we could call it. So, you might want to take off the clothes that you've been wearing at work because they probably remind you of that environment, and maybe put something else on. If you like, you could also take a shower then, rather than at other times. So you kind of really distance yourself from that work environment so you don't have it all the time, even in your private life. And then you can also focus on, well, what are all the energies I've taken on from other people? And just, check if something negative that you're feeling is really your energy, or if it's someone else's energy. And if it's someone else's energy, just let it go. Just say that you're sending it back to whoever gave it to you. It's kind of like mail that somebody gave to you. You don't have to keep it if you don't want to. You're just kind of like return to sender, bye. And then the last thing is, if you've been treated unfairly by somebody, there's often a lot of negative emotions that hang around. And while, it takes a bit longer, it's a longer process to completely work through that, I can give you a quick exercise that can help you take the edge off. And that exercise is basically ask yourself, what did I want from this person that I didn't get? So, for instance, if you created, a great presentation and somebody else took it away from you and didn't even give you credit, the sentence would maybe be, what I wanted from the other person that I didn't get was acknowledgement for the work that I did. For them to treat me fairly. And by putting it that way, you take a bit of your power back because you say, hey, here's what I wanted that I didn't get. So this brings me to the next point, which is next steps. I gave you a couple of things that can, help you in the moment. And I think that's very important. Now, the other question is sort of like looking at this long term. And there's something that we could do of like playing the tape forward. If you imagine yourself staying in that environment day in, day out, a month from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, what's happening? What are sort of like the costs to you? And I think it's really important to figure out what your long-term strategy is. And that really depends on your situation. If it's just one negative person you're dealing with, maybe it's worth it to stay. But if the whole environment is toxic, there's probably not that much that could really make that so much better that would be worth it for you to stay. So I think it also would make sense to look at your longer term strategy. And, if that's something that you want help with, feel free to reach out to me and, we can discuss if I can help you. So to summarize all that, first of all, my compassion that you're going through what you're going through. And second of all, there are things you can do about your mindset, specifically realizing that you are actually not the one who's being unhealthy, but they are. There's things you can do about your environment by, keeping reminders of times when you feel good and people who appreciate you. Also surrounding yourself with healthy people. I also gave you 2 exercises, energetic ones that you can kind of like do the bubble and then releasing energies that you may have taken on from other people. And I gave you a quick exercise that you can do to take the edge off negative emotions that you may feel towards others. And lastly, we talked about next steps. I really hope this was helpful for you. If you want to see more of these videos, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.